Hey folks, Connor from NYCeWheels here. Today we're going to review the Stromer ST1x. It's going to be the newest and most affordable bike in Stromer's connected bike line. So in this review we'll go through all the specs on the bike, talk about how it rides, and we'll really compare and contrast the differences that Stromer put onto this bike as opposed to the other bikes in the ST2 line. So let's first go into the battery and the motor that are going to come on this bike. Your motor is going to be still a 500 watt motor, but it's going to be a slightly different motor than what's on the ST2 and ST2S. Instead of the Sino drive, you're going to have a Cyro drive motor, which has a little bit less torque. As far as the Newton meters go, it's 35 instead of the 40 that's on the other two bikes. But you don't really miss it that much. It's a very minimal decrease, but still kind of part of the cost savings. The bike will still take you up to 28 miles an hour, just like the ST2 and ST2S. So moving on to the battery, this bike is going to come stock with a 614 watt-hour battery. Still the same 48 volt setup as the other connected bikes, so they're actually all interchangeable on this bike. So if you do want to purchase the ST1X but feel that that's not going to get you enough range, you can still upgrade to the gold battery or the blue battery. That's the 814 and 983 watt-hour batteries that are on the other bikes, and just pop that right in here. The battery that comes stock with this bike is still going to get you about 40, maybe 50 miles if you're being conservative on the pedal assist, so you don't really lose too much range in comparison to the ST2. So taking a look at the gear setup on this bike, you're going to have a nice clean 1x11 drivetrain similar to the ST2S minus the Di2 shifting. You do however have Shimano SLX for the group set as far as the derailleur goes, which is still going to shift very smoothly, and 11 speeds is really all you need for this kind of electric bike to get up any hills. The bike still comes stock with a rack and fenders on it. It's going to be that same rack time rack that you're used to seeing on basically all of the Stromer models. You have the B&M top light in the back, which you do see on just about all the models. The headlight is slightly different. It's a Roxim headlight, a little bit lower power than the Supernova, but still gets the job done. Moving on up to the front of the bike, you're going to have a couple of major changes compared to some of the other bikes. So first let's take a look at the aluminum fork instead of a carbon fork that the other Stromer bikes offer. It's really not a huge difference in the ride quality. A lot of the shock absorption, although this is a solid fork, is going to come from the Schwalbe balloon kind of big bend tires that are e-bike specific. So those are going to do a great job at kind of absorbing the bumps. You won't really notice a huge difference between this and the carbon fork, but the difference is definitely there. And then finally, just taking a look at the head tube. Although you do have a nice looking ST1S logo here, you do lose the daytime running light and the USB charger that you'll see on the ST2 and ST2S models. Coming up to the crankset, you got just one nice big ring here, and you have these kind of plastic pedals here that are, part of the cost savings, but they're still very comfortable and very lightweight, and you have a nice strong alloy crank there. So moving on up to the handlebars, you have a pretty nice angled stem here that's going to give you a medium comfort riding position. Not too aggressive, but low enough that you still get to really take advantage of the great handling that these Stromer frames offer. You have just your trigger shifters on one side, because again, you do have a 1x11 setup, nice and simple. For the grips, you do have some nice locking grips here that can always be upgraded. They still offer a nice ergonomic feel to them. And you're going to have some Tektro Dorado hydraulic brakes as well, and those are 180 millimeter rotors. So let's move on up to the display. You have it nicely integrated into the frame. That's the Stromer Omni display, and that's going to be able to connect with the Stromer satellite as well as your Stromer Omni app. You can see here that you have some signal bars and the letter G there to show connectivity. If you'd like more details on the app specifically and how kind of everything works on the display, you can check out our ST2S review, which goes into a lot more detail. For now, let's move on to the basic functions. You have your battery level, your speed, and your 3 modes of pedal assist. Your second mode is actually customizable, and that's something that you can do on the app. You have your main power button kind of right under it on the top tube here on the underside. And you have a couple different choices here. You can just turn the bike off there. You can lock the motor wheel, both on the display and on the app. You have move mode, which is essentially their walk assist, which allows you to just press the plus button and you can get that assist to push the bike up a hill if you need to. Another cool thing that you can do with Stromers and as part of the connected bike line is adjust the torque sensor. So you can actually set how sensitive you want that torque sensor in the rear dropouts to be. So if you turn it all the way up, yes, it is going to consume a lot more battery, but you're gonna feel the motor power kick in pretty much instantly as soon as you put pressure on the pedals. So that's a really nice feature to really customize your ride. And then in the menu, you have a couple different settings. You can get your bike info, adjust your screen brightness, your miles per hour and kilometers per hour, whichever readout you choose. And then just a couple more things to, really fine tune the bike to run exactly how you want it to. So going into the ride quality of the bike, it's going to ride very much like an ST2 since they pretty much have the same frame geometry and the only main difference being the aluminum fork. It's still going to be the same great handling that you get with these purpose-built Stromer frames. I've personally put a lot of miles on an ST2 and didn't feel like I was really losing that much with the Cyro drive motor that the ST1X offers. I didn't exactly get a chance to ride up a really steep hill since we're in Manhattan, but I would imagine that that's the only place that you'd really feel the motor being any weaker than the one on the ST2. I do love the simplicity of a 1x11 drivetrain. More and more bikes are starting to come out with that, and I think it's just the best way to go when it comes to e-bikes. It just keeps everything a little bit lower maintenance, a little cleaner. You don't have to deal with the front derailleur. So definitely a plus about the ST1X. Overall, it seems like the main differences are going to come from the smaller components as well as the smaller battery. You still get the same great ride quality, and you still get to use all of the features of the Stromer Omni app, which is a huge part of what makes the ST2 and connected bike line so unique. Although the ST1X is meant to be sort of a downgraded ST2, it doesn't really feel that way. Still feels like a top-of-the-line bike, and most importantly, you still get to use the Omni app, and you have that integrated display right in the frame, and all the features that the app offers, working with the Stromer satellite, which really is the most important and one of the most unique things about the connected bike line. So final thoughts on the ST1X. I think Stromer did an excellent job of bridging that gap between the ST1 and the ST2 line, since there's kind of a big disparity both in price and in features. And this bike kind of combines both, the best of both worlds to get a really awesome high quality ride. Thanks so much for watching our review of the ST1X. Again, if you want to learn more about the Stromer app, you can go midway through our ST2S review and just click on the link here, and that'll educate you on all the features that has. And again, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to let you know when we release new videos.